Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready to get unhinged?
Let's do it.
I didn't give him a shot of anything.
It's too early. What's today? Wednesday, Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah. It's not bad, but
Thursday at like 1 p.m. You got it.
You know.
that's old Cade, not new Cade.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're going to get into that,
We will.
please. Ready?
All right.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Lockbox. I'm here with my co-host.
Cameron Barbier.
I'm Stephanie Zalowski, and we are super pumped to have a really good friend with us here today. We've known him for about 7 years.
Yeah, just about.
Okay. He's pretty much kept us laughing the entire time. We're also the older sisters that he never wanted or asked for, which is super fun for us. And we literally live through his shenanigans every single weekend vicariously. Yeah. And like to drunk DM him. Well, he's drunk. We're not. We're like, tell us what you're doing. Tell us everything. Oh, I should probably tell you who's here. Cade Silva. Welcome to Behind the Lockbox.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
I'm honored.
You are our first guest. This is our first episode.
It truly is an honor. It's been a long ride.
Yeah.
Knowing each
It
other.
feels right.
And like MP told us all this like 5 years ago. Actually, we'd probably be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, if we're sitting in my living room talking shit, yeah.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, it was a weekly occurrence. So
Yeah, you know, whatever.
Podcast.
So Cade is actually also an agent with Compass, with our broker. And, you know, again, the premise of this, I think we talked about this, was basically I wanted this podcast to be something fun where in a world of chaos that we live in, right, with our clients and with our, you know, team and our business and everything, like I wanted something fun to do. And you were the first person that popped into my head with some unhinged stories among, you know, a list of other agents, but you were the first one.
it's going to be a good one. You know, the business, it's so serious. And if you don't laugh, it will kill you. So
True.
if you don't know how to laugh and like go through those things and look back and laugh, it's not fun going through it every day.
Well, and again, like we have each other, right? Like that's the best part of it. And I think having friends in the business is truly what gets us through. Like we really will call each other and be like, you're never going to believe what happened. So on that note, I hear you have some stories for us from behind the lockbox.
We do have some good stories. Where should we start? Should we start with people? Should we start with agents? What would be the best route to go?
I mean, just jump right in. You could save the best for last, or you could just come out with a bang. So you tell me first. What's the first one that pops into your head?
Probably agents, because I don't think people realize it's super easy to get your real estate license. It's like anyone can get it done. It's super easy. So
Barrier to entry is a little low.
yeah, so you know, you're not typically anyone can get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going through that every day, you come across people that they got it for whatever reason, thinking it was going to be one avenue, and it's completely different than what everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
And so some of the agents are really interesting without, you know, being rude.
Without naming any names.
Without naming any names. You know, there's one agent that I've worked with a lot, and, you know, we're friends, but
Not like we're friends.
she's a little odd. And, you know, she's not local.
After, okay.
Yeah, she's not local like La Jolla, PB,
Okay.
but she's a little bit further North County, and she's very secretive about everything. Everything's a secret. And I'll never forget, this
I
is
love
probably
those type of agents.
four years ago. She calls me and she's like, hey, do you want to come look at this off-market property I have? I go, sure.
I sure do.
And so I pull up and I put my hazards on, and she comes sprinting from the front door to my car. Turn them off. The neighbors can't know this home's for sale.
How would they know from hazards?
So I said, okay.
Maybe my car broke down here.
So I pull around the corner, park, walk back up, and she's like, starts whispering in my ear, don't say anything till we get inside. The neighbors can't know. And I'm looking around, there's no one on the street. I'm like, everyone's going to know because you have a clipboard in your hand and you're in a skirt. Like what? That yells realtor right there. So we go in, it's basically the whole showing.
A name tag.
Exactly. The whole 9 yards. We walk in and she's still whispering through the entire house, whispering because the windows are open. I'm like, there's no one standing around here. No one cares what is happening over here. And it was one of the oddest showings I've ever been a part of in my entire career.
Was it like a good listing?
It was a good listing, but it was overpriced like a lot of the other things they showed me.
Well,
But
anything off market typically.
Right.
What part of town was it in?
it was in Carlsbad.
Did she sell?
I have no idea. It never went on the market. She might have sold it.
She was
I don't know.
whispering to everybody, so
Right.
you know.
Exactly. You can't know about it.
This property's for sale.
Yeah, every call we get, it's a secret. Then it goes on the market 2 days later. I'm like, what was the whole point of that?
Right.
So there's a lot of that goes on, but that was like an extreme of you're just like, what's going
With
on
her
in
name
my-"
tag and her clipboard, and she's like walking through the property, like showing him everything.
Exactly. Super obvious.
Love it. Love it. Okay. What about like with a client, or like, have you ever walked in on anything, or?
I've walked in on a couple times people sleeping in the house. You schedule the showing. It's normal. I think everyone's done that.
Yeah.
Tenants are just the sun.
Oh,
Just didn't wake up from a nap and you walk in and it's weird. I haven't really walked in. Have you guys walked in on someone doing something in the house?
I mean, automatically, I just think of
Right.
I actually haven't. That's one thing that has not happened to me yet. I've walked in on people sleeping. I've walked in on people squatting in the house. That was a little terrifying and got the hell out of there. But I mean, no, not anything like that. Another agent coming on did tell me like last week that, I'll save this for later, but just as a teaser, she walked in and there was a dead body in the house. And I was like, well, thank God that wasn't my listing. Yeah. So it's insane. It's insane. But I mean, I was telling Cam on the other episode that, clients get crazy, right? When they're like, well, we can't sign this. Mercury's in retrograde. I can't sign contracts. Like, has anything like that happened with you where they're just like completely unhinged?
One of my top clients who to this day we've become friends. We meet up several times a year.
Love that.
He's from out of area, but he was very intense during escrow. And I'll never forget this. It's a Sunday afternoon and I was slightly hungover. I remember this like
Weird.
But the day before I was listening to a podcast and they were talking people of power. And this guy's a very, very, very powerful person.
Okay.
They go, you have to mirror their energy if you want to gain their respect.
True.
That's the only way they will ever respect you. And if you're trying to get a point across, if you don't do that, they will not respect you.
100%.
And so he calls me and he's just yelling at me saying, we're trying to F him over. You want it out of the contract.
Are you helping him? Like,
I'm representing him on the buy side.
Okay.
Just screaming at me like he better get his deposit back. I'm like, you're in the inspector, you're fine. Just yelling at me. So I start yelling back at him, screaming at him. We're cussing back and forth. He hangs up, calls me a minute and a half later and goes, all right, kid, I'll meet you there tomorrow at the property. And since then, like I've totally earned his, I think.
Were you like, shit, that worked?
Yeah, well, I was just breathing and I thought he was super mad and the deal was done. I was like, whatever. And then it ended up.
You get to a point, right, where you're just like, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah,
Stop yelling at me.
100%. And none of it was my fault. But I earned his respect right there. And to this day, I mean, that was 2.5, 3 years ago. We still talk all the time. We meet up multiple times a year whenever he's in town. But, that was one interesting client experience I've had.
That actually happened to me. So I usually, for people who don't know, do the contracts and all that for our team. And do you know about to talk about? Oh, there's this one lady that we've worked with her for like multiple times.
Which one? That's a few of them.
I know. I'm like trying to be.
I know. We
get it in a second.
Okay.
So I would do all these things, and it would just like I'd go over to her house, and she was just so awful to me. And one day, it was like our third time trying to sell her home, and she was losing it. Like, you don't know anything that you're doing, and she older? Lost it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Lost it on her. And I'm like, shut the fuck. Like, and I just gave it to her. And then she just like was really quiet. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired. And then she was super nice. She goes, you're right. You're absolutely right. And then from then on, she would text me pictures of her dogs, like super nice to me. I'm like, oh.
It's very
would
interesting.
Would have done that months ago.
Sometimes that you do. You just have to like put people in their place, whether it's an agent, whether it's a client, whatever. Like, yeah.
But you have one of the hardest jobs in the business. To this day, our operations manager left a week ago. Like, she's on vacation.
Oh, I was like, she left?
No, she left. She just went on vacation.
Yeah.
I've never opened up an escrow by myself in my entire career, and I had to do it. It took me 4 emails to get it open. 4 emails to get the escrow open.
You're like, Cade,
I did 4 this morning.
See, that was for one escrow. One escrow took me 4 emails. And they kept responding. So finally, within 2 hours, they're like, Cade, we don't have the right documents. And I sent them another PDF, and they're like, Cade, that's not the right document. We asked for the addendum. I'm like, that is the addendum. They go, that's not an addendum. And then they're like, you filled this in wrong. You put the wrong date here. And I'm
that's like, an RRR. You're not even in escrow yet.
So then I respond, I'm like, I am sorry. In the last 5 years I've worked with you guys, I have never once opened up an escrow. Oh my God. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Jim calls me. He's like, I need you to send this DocuSign. I'm like, you don't know how to do DocuSign? I barely know how, but you don't at all? So
like somebody else we know.
It's great. Filling out contracts, I'm like, oh my God. I did my first response to request for repairs by myself after 5 years, and it took me
Really?
it took me 30 minutes to figure out
Yeah.
how to do the credits and everything. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys do that all day. I felt so.
Also, it's like the tedious part, right? Because we are with clients. We're out in the field, like we're doing showings, like whatever it is, and so it's much.
I'm great at selling and advising when it comes to paperwork and just responding to people. I am the worst.
I know it's tough.
I'm like the opposite. I'm like, you guys selling like, I don't care if you like this film or not. Like, give me the paperwork.
Right.
The paperwork.
No, not me. Definitely not me.
It took you 5 hours to open one house. You should have done it.
I honestly didn't even think about it. I didn't even. I was just too into it. I just wanted. It was Friday afternoon. Oh, right. You're gonna get blown up whenever Angela's out of town.
Cam, what is this acronym? And she's like,
Right.
That's the listing agreement, dude.
No, whenever I get acronyms, I just go to zip forms and type it in.
They don't show up though.
They don't, because people will refer to them as something different.
But if you type in the first letter, you can scroll because the first letter, it will have it. Then you have to look for the next one. Like if it's an RP, you have to look for R, then go down and then you see P, and then like, okay, now there's an A, and then you have the S, and there you go.
You're like, okay.
Sometimes, but then they change the names on them, and then you're like, now I just don't even know.
It's true with updates and stuff, yeah.
Right. And then companies just likes to add new forms that it looks like they made on a Google Doc. And all of a sudden it's like,
Even do
why was this needed? And it's just, it makes no sense.
Oh my God.
The life of an agent and paperwork.
I feel like you had a story for me. Weren't you telling me something about something that happened at an open house?
Open houses are probably the best place where you get characters of all kinds, especially in the luxury.
It's true.
In the luxury space.
Yeah.
100%. You know,
true.
you have the people, and at least like in La Jolla, 90% of the stuff I do, open houses are in La Jolla.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the people that are just super rude that come in.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, you used to intimidate me. Now I mess with them back. Like just you have to, you know, like you have to and just be like, okay, you want to be a dick? I will be one back.
Or
I don't.
tweet that comes in, Kate's all, hey.
Right.
What's up?
One guy I had come
upstairs.
Do you want to see the master bedroom?
Like, Kate, too much energy.
Kate,
calm it,
calm it down,
bring it down, relax.
Yeah.
We had a house I was holding open on Camino de la Costa. For when people don't know, it's the Street of Dreams, one of the most desired streets in La Jolla. And this guy I just opened up, and he rolls up on a moped. Like, all right, interesting.
You never know. Don't judge a book by its cover.
You never know.
We've learned that.
Oh, I know. Me too. Absolutely.
Yep.
But he walks in, and he puts his helmet down, and he's just walking around the house, and he's out on the deck in the front, shaking the post. I go, excuse me. And he stops. He's going through the house, and he's slamming cabinet doors.
See if these are soft close.
No, so I go, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm just checking out the quality of everything and making sure it works. And I go, and there's people starting to show up at this point. I'm like, I didn't order an inspector. The front door, can you please leave if you're not buying the house? And he kind of looked at me, and everyone there was like, that was so weird what he was doing. That same day, I went in this huge, like, Sprinter van, I guess, like a travel Sprinter van pulls up.
Oh, God.
Okay. And these two people get out and they come in, and the open house is pretty packed. It's the same day. And they are just making bad comments about the house the entire time. The home was built literally 3 months before they walked into it. And they're just making comments, and they go, are these IKEA, this is a $6 million house. Are these IKEA cabinets? And they say it in front of everyone. I go, do you have a Toyota Sprinter? Everyone looked at me, a couple of people started laughing.
A Mercedes.
Right. And I was just like, what are you doing? Like, the audacity some people have that are not legitimate buyers, the stuff they say, you know? I was like,
wait, does Toyota make a Sprinter?
I had no idea.
My husband wants to get a Sprinter.
Why?
It's bad. I don't know. Good. I swear. Those cabinets are not that bad.
I have them in my kitchen.
I know I've done.
No, they're not bad, but don't make a comment like that when you're going through a house that people, like legitimate people are taking a look at.
You should have been like, no, these are Lowe's. It was a Lowe's special.
The best open house story I have, it was actually at one of your guys' listings over on Costa Bell. It was that big white one that you guys had listed for like $8 to $9 million with Eric.
Yep.
I held it open all the time for you guys.
Yep, I remember.
And this was 2019. I think it was 2019. And this couple walks in with their kid. Super nice people.
Super not kid friendly.
Not kid friendly whatsoever.
Go tumbling down those concrete stairs, but it's cool.
I was just telling this story yesterday to another agent, actually. And we start talking, and I'm like, are you in the market to buy? He goes, not quite yet. You know, he goes, I will be here very soon. My business is very close, and we're just out kind of trying to get a pulse on the market. I'm like, cool. So what do you do? He goes, I have an online business that pays me residual income every month.
Well, that doesn't sound sketchy at all. Porn.
Well, it could be porn. It could be Amazon. It could be like an e-commerce site. So
literally anything.
so I was like intrigued. I go, I would love to learn about that. He goes, well, that's great. I actually build teams under me. Why don't we meet for coffee?
MLM. I called it.
It wraps around. Okay.
Okay.
So I meet with him at coffee, and he pulls out this purple book that they all pass out. I come to find out.
You were being inducted into a cult.
It gets better.
Okay.
And so he gives me this book. He's like, read the book, and then we'll meet next week. So I read the entire book.
He hands this to you at the open house?
No, this is at coffee. We went the next week to grab coffee. I was just intrigued at that point. I was curious. If you're looking at a $9 million open house and you say you're close to having it, let's check it out.
Exactly.
So I go and then I read the book. It hypes up multiple, what's it called? Multi-level marketing.
Yeah, MLM.
So then I start meeting with them. And I met with him for like 2 months. 'Cause I was just more curious. I'm like, how does this, I was trying to like wrap my brain around it because he's like, this is the greatest thing of all time. Basically, he has a team and people coming under him and he spends like $500 a month and everyone under him spends $500 a month. And that's how you build your team and you try to go vertical as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Then I'm going through this catalog. I'm like, bro, you're paying $48 for 24 water bottles and they're not even like pH. It's just like normal purified water. He's like, yeah, but if everyone does it, toothpaste was like $20. I'm like, what is this, like whitening toothpaste where does it straighten my teeth too? And so I'm trying to like reason with them. And then I'm arguing with them like, if you put this money towards real estate, your return over time is going to be way more significant. And for 2 months, I was just going, trying to understand it. And I just couldn't agree with it. He finally invites me to this like convention they have in San Diego.
Where he was inducted.
Yeah. And he goes, wear a suit. So I walk in. Everyone in this place is wearing a suit. And I've never seen they're all hyped up over this program. None of them are making money. Some of them are making decent money. They're all talking about how they don't have to work. I'm like, you're meeting with people every week. That's working, trying to convince them to do this. That is work. It's not freedom of time. Yes, for $48. So I kind of, and the guy that, like their main speaker kind of pissed me off and I got up and walked out. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
So he didn't buy Costa Bell is what you're saying.
So he didn't buy Costa Bell. So I tell him, but now I go everywhere. And like I was walking in Vaughn's, I see this guy pull a purple book out of his backpack. I walk into Starbucks all the time. There's people sitting down with this purple book.
Wait, what? Like recently?
All the time. I see it everywhere I go now. So about six. They all know, not everyone. There's tons of people doing this wacky thing, and it blows my mind. Well, 6 months ago, this was years ago. 6 months ago, I was sitting at an open house on Talbot over in Point Loma.
Oh yeah.
And this couple walks in, and I go, "Hi, how you doing?" And they didn't look like they were like. It was a $4 million house. It just they didn't fit the sophistication that you would typically see of someone actively looking.
You never know.
You never know, but the first person did.
Right.
So they go, yeah, we're just out looking at property. We have an online business that does residual income, and we're very close we're just trying to understand the market. The same verbiage. And I go,
script.
And I poked him and I go, open up your purse. Do you have a book by Robert Kiyosaki? And they go, how'd you know? I go, let me guess.
So scary.
Let me guess. You're with Worldwide. They go, how'd you know? And we'll say this guy's name is Greg.
Okay.
I'm like, do you know Greg Martin? And they go, we were just having dinner at his house 3 nights ago. And I'm like, oh my God.
They inducted us.
No. So, but now you pay attention to open houses. They're open houses all the time. And they say the same exact thing. And they have the same exact spiel. They all have the book in their back because they never know who they're going to meet at that open house. And that couple at Talbot, they were talking to people about this during the open house. And people were so uncomfortable. And I thought like, hey, you can't do that here.
They're like, sir, have you invited the Lord into your heart?
Well, I'd like to see the house that...
Yeah. We'll call him Greg Martin. He's definitely not living on Costa Bell. It's confirmed.
Or in Point Loma, for that matter.
He actually texted me about 4 or 5 days ago, like for real.
No way.
Yeah. He's a super nice guy. I talk to him probably every 6 months.
I'm still selling water and
water and deodorant and all natural deodorant. That's $25.
All natural deodorant. We've upgraded.
So that's probably one of like my favorite open house memories, just because it came back 3-4 years later, and I call it like verbatim. I'm like, guess, pull out the book out of your back. How'd you know? Do you know Greg Martin?
The way that he said it too.
It was verbatim.
It's almost like they coached them at the...
No, so they do. No, they 100% do.
So was this a Tom Ferry seminar that you're basically referring to, or?
There was not a lot of jumping up and down.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit different. No, but you meet some of the best characters at open house.
It's true. You really, really do. I mean, I was telling her last week it played on our welcome episode already, but I was talking to her about the property that I sold. Did I say the name last week? I don't think I did.
For me?
Yeah, for me. No,
Oh,
not yours. The other one.
No.
But I had a seller come in through an open house, and she was like, purse spilling out everywhere. You're just like, what is happening? But like, I sold her house. Like, she became a client. I sold the house. Like, you just never know.
You never know. There's one guy that comes to every open house I do in PV or La Jolla.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up 30 minutes before it ends. Super nice. He's not in the market to buy, but he inspects every inch of the house.
You've seen him at multiple open houses.
There was a point I saw him every single weekend
At
or
whatever open house.
2.5, 3 months. And sometimes he'd go to an open house and he'd come back a month and a half later and he's like, what's up, man? I've been here before, huh? I'm like, yes. And he will open up like the cabinets. He'll look at the angles of like the windows.
He's like, his hinge is squeaking.
Open up doors. Like
He's probably been in every house in PB in La Jolla.
Oh no, he does. He'll come in and he'll be like, hey, what's your opinion on this house I just came from? He knows every house. He should get a license because
what does he do?
I think he's just bored and he mobs around to open houses on the weekends because I haven't seen him in probably 2 months, but I saw him just about every weekend.
He's switching up neighborhood.
Yeah, he's up in Encinitas now. In Carlsbad, he's gonna work his way back down.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pause right there and take a break. We'll be right back.
All right.
Behind the Lockbox is sponsored by Property Showcase Group. Property Showcase Group has a team of creatives, directors, producers, editors, marketing specialists, and designers that work in tandem to tell and share stories of the built environment. Whether you're looking for full-service production or simply just need content creation, Property Showcase Group can help take your business to the next level. To learn more or to contact Property Showcase Group to schedule a consultation, you can find them at propertyshowcasegroup.com. That's spelled propertyshowcasegroup.com. propertyshowcasegroup.com. Okay, so there's 2 stories that you briefed me on, and I want to hear them both before we take off. So something about a sewer line sounds kind of shitty, unintended.
So it was a little shitty. It almost ended in a disaster, I can tell you that much.
What happened?
So I had a first-time home buyer that wanted to buy multi-units. I sold her boyfriend units the year before, and now so we looked for a very long time. She was looking under 800,000, which is really hard in that space. So we were out looking at a property out
for multi-units.
Yeah. I found a good 2-unit out in Lemon Grove.
Okay.
She was super excited. The agent was one of the most difficult agents I've ever worked with in my entire career. He was just bad. He wasn't a good agent, didn't know what he was doing, and he just didn't care. And his client did a renovation on the property.
Okay.
Wasn't the best renovation job ever, but she was excited. We got it. She was going to make sense for her.
Okay.
Well, the sewer line, there was 2 bellies in the sewer line, which means there's 2 dips for people that don't know what that means.
Yes.
And it can become a very big issue.
Yep.
She's a first-time home buyer. She's like, Cade, if something happened, I need it fixed. And the home's been on the market for a while. So I go back and I say, look, you said you put a new sewer line in, that's fine, but you didn't do it correctly.
Right.
You need to go and do it.
Right.
So we go back and forth for a week and a half, and they're just not budging on it.
Yep.
Not budging it. And he's like, it's a new sewer line. I said, that's fantastic. You didn't.
Sewer line is new, but
you didn't do it correct. You didn't compact the soil. You had someone that didn't know what they're doing.
Right.
And then he goes in and steal. My client knows what he's doing. I'm like, that's fine. His work says otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's down to the wire, and I'm like, why don't we do this? Bring your client to the property. I'm bringing my clients to the property. So we go out there, and this guy, trying to be the great agent he is, trying to negotiate really hard for his client. Mm-hmm. Let's say we needed 20 feet worth of sewer line fixed. Mm-hmm. He draws lines in the sand and goes, we'll do 16 of the 20 feet. And I'm sitting there, my client kind of looks at me, I go, that doesn't make sense.
I love that he drew lines for
No, he drew lines, and he's like, we'll go from there to there. I go, the extra cost for your client to fix that, let's hold $1,000. For my clients to bring a plumber out here to finish that line, we're talking 6 to 7.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense to do that. And he goes, that's what my client is willing to do. And we keep going back and forth, and my client is getting visibly upset about it. She spent money on inspections. She was super excited for it. So me and him start getting into a yelling match. And I look at his client and I go, it's your agent's the reason this deal's dying. He doesn't know what he's doing. I go, you hired a clown. And I turned around and walked
Imagine
away.
Cade, 6'3". You're a clown.
I literally yelled at him and said, you hired a clown. And I walk away and my clients go, thank you so much for standing up for us. They were so thankful. I was like, that was so unprofessional, but they were so upset about it.
There.
And they were like, we are so thankful. They actually sent me one of their friends a few days ago. So I know they were
Love it.
happy with it. But
Love it.
they were like, thank you. And she's like, I'm not done with this. I had a cancellation out there. So I had him sign the cancellation. I go and I put it in the guy's chest.
So wait, you had not removed all contingencies yet?
No, this is all part of the negotiation on the request.
Okay.
So I go and I sign and I shove it in the guy's chest.
The buyer?
The agent.
Or
As the seller, and I look at the seller, I go, your agent screwed this up. And I go, by the way, bro, your fake Gucci shoes and Gucci belt ain't faking anyone out here.
Wait, he actually knew what form it was. He printed it and put it in his chest. Good job, Cade.
No, but I commented on the shoes and belt, and he just looked at me like, did you just say that? And I stormed off and walked away. We ended up making the deal happen, but...
and now you party with him all the time downtown.
No, I refuse. Hey, that's an old Cade. I don't go... old retired Cade. That was like 2020, 2021 Cade.
I'm pretty sure it's 2023, 2 weeks ago. Like, I don't know.
It depends if our friend Greg Eyes over at First American gives me a call. Sometimes I'll have to make an appearance.
He'll take you downtown.
Wait, should we have Greg on this podcast?
Then he has some stories.
I bet he does.
Oh, he does. He has a lot of stories.
Greg, if you're listening, he's probably not listening. If he's listening, you're coming.
Sound him a bit, and he loves the spotlight. He tries to act like he doesn't, but he does.
Like when you post him all over social media, yeah.
Yeah, I post all over social media he brings a gallon water bottle everywhere he goes, and it's the most ridiculous thing ever. We're at like a broker meeting, and I'm like, you couldn't wait 30 minutes to drink it? You want everyone to know you lift? And I started this trend where everyone started messing with him about it. For about a week and a half, he got mad. And I'm like, I guarantee you're getting title orders out of it. And everyone loves it. No, everyone loves
he's
it.
Like
everyone
reposting it now. It's great.
Exactly. No, but now he loves it. He embraced it. It's
hysterical.
It's great banter.
That's so funny.
But I started a trend. Everyone in town messes with him about it.
I love it.
Before
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too.
Started the trend, Kim.
It was her idea. I just executed it.
Yeah. You had one final story about a lost deposit.
Have you guys ever had a client lose a deposit?
So I've recently had a client that did an Anna Delvey and was like, the wire's coming. And we're like, remember that? That was that listing is actually still active. Last summer, this guy was like,
that's happened twice, actually.
I think it happens more than people think. Like they put in a little bit of money. I'll still never understand what the end game is here because.
What do you consider a little money?
$10,000 when he owed 3% on.
Have you ever had someone lose $300,000? It's probably one of the craziest escrows.
But he was gone?
So I was representing the seller. A buyer comes in, and it was a development property out Point Loma. A massive, it was a very serious development project. And this person comes up, and with an agent that, I looked her up. She did 3 deals at this point, and she's saying she's ready to take down this entire project. I mean, it was a massive 7,000 square foot home that needed to be built. The whole thing needed to be tore down.
Wow.
And she wires in like $150,000. Well, we start going through escrow, and it comes to the inspection contingency, and she's like, I can't remove it. We're still figuring out our funding. We go, that's great, but you need to wire in another $150 and release it to the seller for the extra time.
That was part of the contract. It was part of
the agreement if you want the extra time, because and they said, okay.
Yeah.
They released $150,000. Well, they keep delaying the closing. And I'm calling the agent, and the agent's getting mad at me. I know this person. I've known her for a while. I've done so many deals with her before. I'm like,
he's not telling you what's like really going on.
She didn't know what was going on.
Oh, okay.
So I print out all the proof of funds they sent us, because they kept sending us like updated proof of funds for like new totals, and they're all from Bank of America. And I hold them up in the light, and all the numbers are shifted on it. Bank of America, it's a standardized form. It's going to be exact. Everything's good. So I tell Jim, and it comes to the day of closing.
Good catch.
And the money never came in on the day of closing.
So did escrow ever receive the first 150?
So yeah, the seller took it. They released it non-refundable to the seller.
So the seller had that.
The seller had the 150, and then he got an additional 100 or 150 for the time. Day of closing, it never closed. Like the wire never comes in. Comes to find out, they try to claim that their main money person died, and we're like, okay, bring a death certificate.
Also, you still can't get access to it from some other way. Like, come on.
But they were claiming it was their main money guy.
Okay.
And we're like, bring a death certificate, and they were free. Like, how dare you ask for a death certificate? And we're like, if you have $250,000 on the line. If I was you, I would get in the car,
Right.
drive to the hospital,
Yep.
get a death certificate, and bring it to escrow.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's
And then the money is the seller's at that point.
well, yeah, but the seller in theory should have replaced. Like, you know, the main money person passed away. There's nothing you can do.
Right.
Well, 3 days later, after this all happened, my buddy Sean Zaganana from Carmel Valley, Keller Williams. I can't say his last name. It's some crazy last name.
Here.
Yeah.
Wait, are you making this name up or that's so funny?
Zagane, something.
Okay.
He calls me and he's like, he has a $3 million listing in Chula Vista. And he's like, hey, do you know this buyer? And he sends me the name.
How did he know that, like, you might know the buyer?
He goes, yeah. He goes, I had a feeling. Because he goes, I have a $3 million listing in Chula Vista. There are not $3 million listings in Chula Vista. And this person is claiming that she's trying to buy it all cash.
Wow.
I go, dude, she just lost a ton of money. And this was after our escrow failed. She was trying to go take down that one.
That's like, what is the end game?
We to this day don't know what the end game was. We don't know if they were trying to wholesale the property, but that property was sitting on the market for so long out and you paid full price for it. How do you think you're going to wholesale it?
Did you guys close that property?
No.
So the seller kept that first 150,
he kept it.
and then the rest, like, just never obviously came in.
Never came in, so the deal never happened.
Okay, that's different than, like, that guy putting in $10,000 in escrow. You know what I
think it
mean?
was more, but it was because they sent it to the wrong escrow company because of, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No. But like,
we've had one where they sent it
to the
yeah,
wrong.
it was like a wrong.
But what is? I'll never understand what the end game.
We
is.
never, to this day, we don't know what the end game was, but $250,000 lost. So then I call the agent and I say, hey, are you representing your client on this deal? Then Chula Vista, she goes, no, but she would never write a deal without me. I'm like, well, I'm telling you right now, she just did. And she goes, I'm going to report you to the DRE because you broke client confidentiality. I go, we're not attorneys, honey. Like, there's no client confidentiality. The agent called me because he knows me, and he, for some reason, figured this buyer was in escrow with me on this one.
Also, I don't
And
think
you were trying to give her
a heads up.
Right, no, exactly. And I was like, don't get mad at me because you
I also
fumbled the
think
bag.
thing like
It's not.
can, like, it's, you know, maybe not disclosing what's on an offer, but
Right.
like
You can ask another agent about a certain buyer or seller.
that defies HIPAA laws. You're like, this is not
No,
healthcare.
but it was chaos. Like, how do you lose $250,000? What were you trying to do?
How much money does she actually have to be able just to lose $250,000?
I know it was one of the craziest. It was wild.
That's wild. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me, right? We actually, on the Chelsea property that we just closed, there's been, like, fraudsters. And did this happen to you guys, or was it maybe another team in the industry where they're putting liens on properties?
So,
Like, kind of like a mechanic's lien,
so
essentially.
were they doing mechanics, or were
Yeah.
they doing like a Les Pendas?
I don't know actually I didn't see it. Brett just told me about it. But it was definitely like where they're, instead of having to go through all the hoopla to be able to, like, get attorneys involved and fight it and whatever. Yeah, they're like, pay me $30,000. And, like, that happens a lot too, which is insane. I thought about that the other day. I'm like, these people in the balls, man, to be able to put a lien on a property, on a $20 million property, and be like, pay me $30,000 and not go to jail. I mean, eventually it'll catch up to that.
100%.
Like, it's crazy. It's
100%.
crazy. So
Have you guys ever fallen asleep at an open house?
Have you?
Yeah. Well,
I think he's asking because clearly
No, how are you?
it's kind of common. The more I've asked about it, I've asked many agents, and many people have fallen asleep at open houses.
Wait, were you hungover falling asleep, or were you just
Oh,
falling
for sure. And I mean, this was years ago at the Camino de la Costa house.
Sunday?
You know, this is 3-4 years ago at the Camino de la Costa house. And I remember I'm asleep, and I don't know how long I was asleep for. Person walks in and goes,
Were you
hey.
in a chair?
I-
Were you in the bed?
No, I was sitting on the couch.
Okay, fair.
But someone walks in and they're like, hey,
Hi.
a little tired? I'm like, it's been a pretty slow day. It's kind of nice. The breeze is coming in. It was a beautiful day. The breeze is coming in. I'm like looking at the water right there.
God, the house has been robbed.
And I'm like, how many people walk through this house? Like,
But
was
did
it
he
5
tell
minutes?
you?
Was it an hour? No idea to this day. But yes, I've fallen asleep, and it's common. Many realtors I've found have fallen asleep at open houses.
I'm gonna take. We need
I
to
fell
take.
asleep during yoga once, but I was pregnant. I didn't know.
Yeah, a little different. little different.
Than
But
guarding a $6 million house that Cade falls asleep on the couch.
I mean, it was vacant. It was a new construction, so there was
fair. There's nothing to steal.
nothing to steal.
Okay.
But that's the only time I fell asleep.
Of like waking up and being like, what just happened?
Where am I?
Yeah.
How long
long
was
has
it?
been? Yeah.
There's like a woman standing over here. You're like, hi.
Right. No, but it happens. It's a thing.
Cade.
It's a thing.
Falling asleep. This could be like a hashtag.
Cade falls asleep. That's
On occasion.
Hashtag on occasion.
On occasion. The old Cade. The new Cade, he's always rested at open houses, ready to go and sell the home.
Got a living girlfriend. We're so proud of you. You're all grown up.
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
True. Okay. Before we go, we have a little rapid fire game that we want to play.
Okay.
The game is called Punch List. I think I said this in the welcome episode, but my brother named it. So if you don't get it, it's his fault.
Okay.
Hey, Todd. Hey, Mom. Shut up. Okay. So Cam's going to ask you 3 questions
Okay.
and you have to just first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Ready? Okay. What's the craziest or pettiest thing that's ever killed or almost killed one of your deals?
The sewer line.
Okay. Fair. I mean, that's not petty. That's crazy though.
Right.
Because that, I've had
Right.
stuff.
I think the fake Gucci shoes thing was petty.
Was that you
Both.
Yeah. It was
wear them or have you two?
a little bit of both, but
Okay.
for me to say in front of a client, I probably shouldn't have. I was so mad. I just didn't care. And that was my last dig. Yeah.
Growth. Okay. What's the next one?
Okay. What's the weirdest thing or situation you've ever walked in on?
Probably someone asleep in the bed and continuing to sleep when they knew we were there. He said,
so weird.
he said, come on in. And I'm like, this is weird. And my buyer was like,
over facing the wall. You're like,
my buyer was like, I'm good. I don't need to see that bedroom.
that did happen to me once. And I was like, so this is the bedroom. It fits a queen size bed with 2 nightstands and it's heady. Sleeps easily. Curtains drawn, blackout shades are good to go. Yeah. Okay.
Which is so funny because you've been asleep at an open house, but that's also the weirdest thing. That's a
Right.
deal.
There we go.
Weird. Full circle.
If you could be anything other than a real estate agent, what would you be and why?
Anything.
I would be, who's the guy that owns Citadel? The hedge fund guy.
That's what you would be.
I would be him.
You wouldn't be like a singer or like a superhero.
No, I think it'd be so cool to
Yeah.
literally run the world. Like the amount of like this,
So you want to be Dr. Evil, basically.
not Dr. Evil, but just like you are like, he's the man, he's a legend.
Fair.
I'm glad we're friends with him because if we weren't, like,
Yeah. So when you do rule the world,
Yeah.
we get to fly in your private jet.
100%.
then
Yeah. He'll just like send us the jet. We'll be like, we just want to go to Italy. Oh, I'll send the jet for you.
I'll be like the first episode, it put me on the map. We'll go take a trip to Barbados. There we go.
There you go. Cade, thank you so much for joining us today.
wait.
Thank you.
What?
One more thing.
Oh.
Did you ever go on that show?
No.
Okay, wait.
Wait, he was almost
But
famous.
we're good. Let's cut it right there. Cut it right there. Cut it.
Cade, what show were you going to go on?
I can't disclose that. I signed an NDA and I wasn't supposed to tell you guys to begin with, but
What show was it?
I
Phil.
can't say. I
The show
can't say.
already aired. It wasn't even.
There's strict NDAs in place.
No way.
Strict. I can't.
Bullshit.
NDAs in place. I can't
No.
disclose. I can't
What was
disclose
it?
it. I can't
Okay.
say it. I can't say it.
Like Love Island or something.
Nope.
I think it was.
It wasn't.
What was the name of the show?
Wasn't.
It wasn't The Bachelor because,
Right.
he needed something more debaucherous than that. Is that a word? You know what I mean.
Debauchery. Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
What show was it?
I can't say.
He's got a girlfriend now, so that's his NDA.
There we go. We're a freak NDA.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for having me.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Behind the Lockbox is produced and edited by Property Showcase Group. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. Thanks for your support. See you next week.